Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Emily, and today we are going to be talking about the books that I read in the month of April for the OWLs. So there were 12 books on my TBR one for every single class at Hogwarts. We're going to go through the classes, and if I wasn't able to read the book, I'll just say didn't read the book for that one. But then we'll talk a bit more in depth about the books that I did read. So out of the 12 books, I read 8 of them. The first class was Ancient Ruins. I did not read the book for that. Next class was Arithmancy, and I read To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee. I rated this book 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. There was just something about it that had me going back, and I just wanted to keep reading it, which is really interesting to me because I've heard a lot of mixed reviews. When I posted about it on Facebook, a lot of my friends came clamoring over to talk about how much they love the book. But in high school, I heard a lot of people complaining about it, but also, I feel like in high school we just complain about the books we have to read because it's high school and it sucks. But this is definitely one of my all-time favorites, and I do understand why they recommend reading it before going to law school. The next class was Astronomy. For this one, I read Fourth Dimension by Eric Walters. I rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. At first, I really wasn't enjoying it. I found that the main character, Emma, was really, whiny and just kind of an ungrateful teenager. But the more we got into it, the more I really loved it. It is a survivalistic type story in a world where suddenly all of the power shuts down and it's kind of apocalypsy. I didn't realize this at the time I made my TBR, but this is actually a spin-off novel from his Rule of Three series. So I did actually go ahead and purchase the first book in that series, and it should be here soon, and I'm excited to read it and see what the original series is like. Next class was Care of Magical Creatures, and I did not get to that book this month. After that we have Charms, and for this one I read Whisper by Lynette Noni. I gave this one 5 stars. This book is so much like Shatter Me in a lot of different ways, but I felt like it did everything better than Shatter Me did. There is a sequel to this book, but I can't find it anywhere online, which is weirdly suspicious to me. Where is it? Has it maybe not come out yet, but people are saying it has? I don't know, because somewhere I read that it's supposed to come, it came out in November. But this book is just amazing. I loved it. Up next was Defense Against the Dark Arts, and I did not get to that book this month. Next is Divination, and I read Kissing Max Holden by Katie Upperman. I gave this one 5 stars. I feel like I've had a lot of 5 stars this month, but I mean, I guess that's a good thing, right? This book is just such a sweet romance, but also the romance part of it ended and there were still a good 40 pages left in the book to tie up all the other things that were happening in the main character Jillian's life, which I really liked because it was really centered around the romance and the two of them growing as people, but also her growing as her own person and some family stuff there, so that was really cool. Next was Herbology, and I read Midnight at the Electric by Jodi Lynn Anderson. I gave this one 5 stars as well. This was not what I thought it was at all. For some reason, I thought this was a female-female romance centered around a fair. It's not that at all. It's actually the way 3 lives are brought together. One story is set in 2065, one is set in 1919, and the third is set in 1934. And so different chapters are from the different girls' perspectives, and the 3 perspectives are told differently. One is in third person narrative, one is told in diary entries, and one is told in letters. And it was just really interesting. I don't even know how else to explain it other than you need to read this book because it changed me somehow. It just, after I read it, I just could not stop thinking about it for hours. I was just thinking about what had happened in the book, and that doesn't really happen to me often. So, as much as I love a ton of different books, I will read it and I'll be obsessed with it and then it's gone. But this one, I just keep going back and thinking about it and thinking about the ending, and the ending was so perfect. This is how to write a perfect ending. Next was History of Magic, and I did actually start this book, Wicked, but I didn't finish it, so hopefully I will in the month of May. Up next is Muggle Studies, and I read Stand-Up Guy by Natasha Evie, and I loved it. I gave this book 5 stars. It's a really good sequel to the first book in the series, Knockout Girl. I like it because usually book series like set in high school, every character falls in love once and like that's it, and then like that's the romance. But this one, like the books really explore the way people fall together and fall apart, and I really like that. And also, like, I just want a box after reading these books, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be terrible at it, don't get me wrong, but I think it'd be fun, and I just want to try it. Next was Potions, and I read On Not Losing My Father's Ashes in the Flood by Richard Harrison. I loved this book. I gave this book 5 stars. It was just really good. It's a book of poetry, mostly about Harrison's father, and I actually had the chance to attend a reading that Richard Harrison did at my university and meet him, and just like knowing a bit more about the background of these poems made the reading experience really rich for me, and I just loved the poems. I read them all in one sitting. It was just amazing. And the last class is Transfiguration. For that one, I read Shiver by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the only Owls book that I did not give 5 stars. I give this one 3 stars. I really liked the romance and the story. I think it's kind of fun, and I liked that the group kind of like all got together. But they were like weird, really weird undertones to the romance, and how they counted the time that he was a wolf and she was a human as like time they were dating, and like how she was like lusting after him as a wolf, and like so much about like the smell of him, and she could smell his fur. It was just very weird for me. Still, I will be continuing with the series because like I need to know where it goes from here. And now comes the time when we talk about what my wizarding career is gonna be. It turns out when you don't do Ancient Ruins or Defense Against the Dark Arts, you really limit your options, and I limited them even further by not finishing Care of Magical Creatures or History of Magic. So I actually only had 2 options to choose from. It was either Broom Maker or Culinary Sorcerer. And I have decided to be a broom maker. So that is it for the Owls. I will see you again come Newt's time to look into which courses I need to take for my career. If you like this video, please give it a huge thumbs up, and please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button down below. It would mean a lot to me, and then you get to see every time I post a new video. Leave a comment letting me know how you did on your Owls, and if you didn't do your Owls, if you've read any of the books that I read, leave a comment telling me about what you thought. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!